Hello fellow beekeepers, Fred here at Chenard's Nursery, and today I'd like to talk about the different types of mite treatment and how to apply them and when to apply them. So to start with, we're going to talk about when to treat for mites. So typically the first treatment you'll do is right after you buy your package or your nuke. You get it set up into your hive. That's a really good time to treat for mites. Your hive colony is small, your mite load is pretty small at that point, especially if you have a package. You install the package into your hive, you're gonna have no brood for a couple of weeks before they cap any brood. So you can kill all the phoretic mites, all the mites that are on the adult bees. You can pretty much take care of those with one treatment. And that's gonna be typically in April, May period. So that'll be your first treatment, April or May. And then right after that, now remember, some of these treatments take a whole month. Sometimes it's a 2-week treatment, sometimes it's a treatment, then another treatment, depending on the type of treatments you use. So some of these treatments could take weeks. So after you get your package or your nuke, you apply your first treatment, April, May. Then June, July, you're typically trying to make honey. So you're not gonna apply a mite treatment during those months. Now, there is some you could, like the Formic Pro, you could put on while you're making honey, but I don't like to do that just because I don't want to taint the honey. But depending on what you use, you could do that. If you have a big mite load during June and July, you could do that. But typically, right after you pull the honey supers off your hive, you're going to do another treatment. So that would be your second treatment, and that's going to be right around August 1st. So the month of August is typically a mite treatment month. And so that's August. So September, then October, you're going to do your final treatment typically for the season. You can't really treat for mites in the cold months of like November, December. It's just too cold to treat for mites. The mite treatments are fumigants mostly. So the bees need to be able to move the air around and evaporate and get rid of that treatment. And that's what kills the mites. So if they're clustered down real tight, if it's winter, then the treatments don't work as good and it could kill your hives. Make sure you read the labels on these treatments to know the temperature parameters. Some of them need to be over 60 degrees during the day. Some of them need to be over 50 degrees, but it can't be over 86 degrees or over 100 degrees. So make sure you read the labels so you know if the treatment's going to work, if that particular treatment's going to work during that month. So if your hives make it through the winter, then when they first start coming out of winter, January, February is going to be your next treatment. So that'll be your 3rd to 4th treatment for the year. And so if you can keep on that cycle, you pretty much can keep the mite load down enough to keep your hive alive. So now we'll talk about the different types of treatments we use. The first one I want to talk about is Apiguard. This little tray, it's got like a goo, like a gel in here, and this is from the thyme plant, thymol. It kills mites, and it's a natural, it's not a pesticide, it's a natural occurring acid. Here at Chenard's, we only sell, the 2 main ones we sell are both acids, not miticides. So there is other treatments. Apivar is one, that's a miticide. So there is other treatments you could use that are not natural, but we kind of like these natural ones. They work pretty good. Apiguard is a 2-part treatment. So when you buy your Apiguard, you're going to get 2 trays, and you'll put the first one in for about 2 weeks. You pull it out and put the second one in for about 2 weeks. And the way you do it is you take this off, you take your inner cover off, and you're going to get one of these medication shims, or if you have a Vivaldi board, you could put the Vivaldi board upside down, or you can put your medication shim on there, and then you peel this open and leave this part on there, and you set that right on top of the hive like that. And this medication shim gives a good gap there for the bees to be able to walk across that and for the air to be able to flow. Then your inner cover goes on top of that, and then your lid. Now you have a good little air space up there for the bees. Make sure after the treatment's done to remove this, or else the bees will fill this whole area up with burr comb, make a big mess for you. So especially if you use your Vivaldi board upside down, if you leave that on there, the bees will fill this up with comb and make a big mess for you. So make sure to flip this back around after your treatment's done with that. So that's Apiguard. Another treatment type that we like to use is the Formic Pro. And this is a 2-dose pack. It's got 4 strips in it. So depending on the size of your hive, you're gonna use 2 strips or 1 strip. So if your colony size, let's say it's just in the top box and there's no bees down in the bottom box, you'd want to just take 1 strip and put it right in the middle. It's going to be perpendicular to the frames, right between the 2 deep boxes. If you only have 1 box, if you're treating and your hive isn't big enough for your second box yet, you would just put it right under the inner cover, right on top of the frames, right in the middle. If your hive is booming and it's really healthy and it's full of bees, top and bottom, both boxes full of bees, you would take 2 strips and put them in the middle, running perpendicular to the frames. And those 2 strips should kill all the mites. Another method is to put 1 strip in, wait for 2 weeks, take that out, put the second strip in for 2 weeks. If, like I said, if your hive colony size is kind of small, sometimes the 1 strip is enough to kill the mites. Another tool for controlling mites is a drone frame. So this frame has the size of the comb is bigger, so the bees will draw it out and the queen will lay drones in this. Usually you'll put it on the outside of their, like the outsidemost frame. And during the drone season, which is, April, May, June, July, a lot of the mites will get stuck on this frame. So you have to time this just right and watch it, because once they cap these over, you need to pull this out, stick it in the freezer, freeze it, and then scrape those off, and then put it back in. If you try and scrape these off without freezing it, it's disgusting. You'll just scrape a big goo. I mean, it's gross. But if you freeze the brood, they'll scrape right out a lot easier. But you can put this in. So mites like the drone brood because drones take 24 days before they hatch, and regular worker bees 21 days. So that extra 3 days allows the mite to lay an extra egg, and so that extra egg can get fertilized. So they prefer the drones. So you'll have more mites during the drone season. So this is a tool to help control some of the mites. You can pull that out, scrape it off, put it back in, do that a couple times during the season, and control a lot of mites that way. Another way is to take powdered sugar and just dump powdered sugar all over the bees. The powdered sugar causes the mite to let go and drop. It doesn't really kill the mites, but it does make them drop off. And if you have a screened bottom, sometimes they'll drop all the way through to the ground, not be able to make it back up into the hive. It maybe control some of the mites that way. It's not really an effective way for mite control, but it's a tool. And then of course we have a lot of different mite treatments, miticides. Oxalic acid is a good treatment for the colder months. You can fumigate the hive in October, November, when these other treatments won't work because it's too cold. So you can research the different types of treatments and different methods, but it's definitely something that you're gonna have to do if you want your hive to survive. So if you have any questions, please come in, give us a call, or ask, email, whatever you need to do. We'll help you figure out the best way to control your mites. Have a good day.